Screen's actually frozen. We're rolling. We are rolling.
We're
We're rolling. We're rolling. Hello all. How are we doing? Episode 19. We've got a very. This is actually first female guest as well.
Yes, I think.
Hey, I'll take that one for the ladies. Excellent.
And we're starting strong. We've had a few shows this season, and we've won an overall at the BNBF. Liv, do you want to introduce us? Tell us a little bit about yourself, and we'll run from there.
Okay, so hello, I'm Liv. I live in Oxfordshire. I am a mum of 3/5. I've got 3 of my own and then 2 stepchildren as well that have grown up and flown the nest. I work as a sports therapist and strength coach here in our very own Studio 22, and I have been competing now since 2022, and so far this year I brought home a trained figure trophy with PCA Naturals, the overall and Miss Athletic champion title with BNBF Midlands, and then more recently I placed second in the Women's Open and Women's Over 35 with OCB in physique, which is an interesting one.
So many questions already.
Really?
Yeah, I actually have. I had so many questions. But we'll start off with the season. I know we touched on it briefly. So 3 shows this year. Do you want to dive into the first show and go from there? Was the PCA always the plan for the first one, or
it was? Yeah, I've never competed with PCA before, naturals or their untested shows, and it was my goal after seeing how much they'd come up in the past few years with their natural shows. I wanted to get involved this year. So we picked the one that was closest to BNBF to kind of use it as a warm-up show, dust off the heels and get in there. And so, yeah, I went to Kettering, PCA Naturals number 4, and brought home the trained figure title. I would not say I would ordinarily ever put myself in figure as a category. So that was a new and scary one, but it has qualified me for the natural finals in Telford at the end of September.
You going to do that?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, wicked.
Yeah.
Well, we'll see you there. Sorry, even more questions. So for you, was the BNBF like the kind of big one for you this year? Would you say, is that something you've done in the past? You said PCA was mainly a warm up. So what was your kind of mindset towards that?
So yeah, BNBF is, I can't say my preferred federation, but it's the federation that I've been with from the beginning. And actually, the Midlands show was the first show I ever did back in 2022. I was one of 3 people on stage in 2022 at Midlands, next to Ali Ross Willits, who is just a force to be reckoned with. And she has had a stellar year this year. If you follow women's natural bodybuilding in the UK, she has had a clean sweep of everything that she has entered this year, and she has really done herself proud. And I entered next to her. Can't remember the name of the other lady, but she didn't really seem to be at home on stage. I think it was a first time show, so we were both first timers together, and really being on that stage the first time was just all about, can I do it? Can I get there? Looking back at those stage shots from 2022, I was soft. I didn't have the condition I needed for my category, but I didn't, especially lower, which is quite common for women, but I didn't look out of place. And it kind of spurred me on to do BNBF Northern that year, at which I was the only competitor. I got my invite to finals, which I probably didn't really deserve because I didn't get an invite at the Midlands show. And then I competed at the BNBF finals in 2022 and placed 4th out of 4. And my daughter so aptly put it at the time, "Mummy, you got participation medal. Well done." As only they can when they are 7. So yeah, I came back to BNBF in 2024. I competed at Southern in 2024 because the show schedule suited my schedule. I took the win that year against quite a stacked show. There was quite a lot of us. And then in the BNBF finals in 2024, I placed 5th out of 12 got myself an invite to Worlds and went to DFAC Worlds in Munich and placed 4th, which was just, mind-boggling, mind-blowing, unexpected. When they didn't call my name for 5th, I thought, that's right, I'm out the running, I'm done. And then I got 4th and I went wild.
So sorry to interrupt, I just want to
No, it's fine.
make sure we've got all the points. So in 2024, you only competed with BNBF until you did obviously the finals.
No, I competed one other show that year. I did UK DFBA. I did, I think, their central show, and in what was still physique. That was before all the big changes. I competed with them. So I have tried UK DFBA, and that's the only other federation I've done. But in 2022, it was just BNBF.
Yeah, yeah. So I know you guys been in the game longer than me. I had my first season in 2024, and even that, like, it started to change a lot. Obviously, since then it's changed loads, but 2024 was the first year of PCA Naturals, and then they only had 1, and then the following year there was 4. This year's technically there's like 6. And I know UK DFBA has always kind of been about, but it's obviously growing now. I know BNBF has always been about, and obviously WNBF, and that's really kind of on the way up. Have you got any plans of like a WNBF show potentially?
Not this year. It just didn't really fit my schedule. I'm not against training, kind of going on their stage. I listen to a lot of my kind of teammates, my coach, that are all coached by the same coach. So my teammates, we talk a lot about the different shows and our experiences. And there are some really experienced kind of athletes in there, which is always helpful to kind of speak with. And they speak very highly of WNBF and their experiences with them. And at OCB, I met a couple of the figure athletes that have been to like World Finals in Vegas with WNBF, and already, really spoke so highly about it and encouraged me to look at it. And it's something I would consider in the future. It just depends how the rest of this year falls as to whether I go again next year or if I take 2 years off. We have a plan. There is a plan. But
so would you say, sorry to interrupt again, I want to come back to the OCB this year. Would you say that like your main mindset for the rest of the year is the PCA finals then? Is that what you have in mind, or?
No, because I've got British finals to do with BNBF, and my goal is that's 2 weeks after PCA finals. So in October, I've got BNBF finals, and I have a goal for that. I want to change my placing in that, and I want to go back to DFAC Worlds because it's in Germany again. And for me,
Germany's great.
It is great, and it sounds odd when I went to Worlds in Munich the first time. It's very much a homecoming for me. I was born and brought up in Germany. So,
whereabouts?
In the north. I'm an army child, so I grew up in the north, and but still, it's very comforting for me to go back, and I'm around the languages that I can speak, and it makes it very easy for me to be there.
So do you think that had an impact in you getting into training? I know we're diving right back now, but you said about, the army.
No, it didn't actually. No. So I may have grown up in the military, and I have served myself. I was in the Air Force long time ago, but I was medically discharged following quite severe lower leg injuries. And for a long time, I did nothing because I was told I should do nothing. I was told no impact, no this, no that. And I had a few issues that, I kind of buried myself under and allowed other people to tell me that I couldn't. So I set myself this self-limiting belief that I couldn't do certain things. And after having children, I realized I needed to change that because I needed to keep up with them more than anything else. So about 10 years ago is when I actually got back into fitness properly and kind of trained myself and then retrained myself out of a career in IT into fitness. And it's been my life ever since.
I've still got so many questions. Right, let's go back to the competition first.
Yeah.
Let's go back to the competition first. So the most recent show, OCB, we was kind of speaking about it a little bit before we come on. Obviously, they are new to the UK. Was last year the first time here? Or was the year before that
It
the first
was.
time?
Last year was their first
Was
time
last year?
in the
Yeah.
UK, and I know there weren't many women or many people at all that competed with them last year. And then this year, it seemed that it had picked up quite a lot, especially for the male show. However, I don't think the numbers warranted having an interval because they ran it so they had all the men's categories on first. And I actually quite like the format. They run each class and then everyone that does their routine in badge order, which is quite nice. And then they do awards in each class. So that means everyone actually has to stick around to support each other, which I really, really rate that. But then there was a break, and then there was the women's show. And of course, all the gents left with their families, and the auditorium emptied because there just wasn't that many women competing on stage. There wasn't that many women or people supporting the women in the audience. And it just felt flat. You know, if you don't have the vibe there of the people supporting, like some of the shows, it can feel really awkward. My own takeaway as well, and this is my own fault. I hadn't quite realised that physique didn't have heels. So I'm used to posing in heels, and so I ended up going on stage posing in barefoot, much like you would do for bodybuilding category in other shows. And I felt quite disconnected. My coach did feedback that I did good, but how I felt personally on stage was really awkward because I didn't have my shoes on.
It's a big, like you said, it's one of those things. I think people underestimate how much like routine posing is. Like when people leave their posing to the last minute, the reason why they struggle is because they haven't had those reps where it becomes second nature. And then to last minute go from being used to posing in heels, getting your balance in heels, to suddenly be on flat feet. That's just going to throw things off because your center of gravity is going to be different. How you approach each pose, how you walk, like just little simple things like that.
How you switch on.
Yeah.
That was the big thing for me, making sure everything was switched on. And it's funny because I do my routine barefoot as a Miss Athletic and trained figure athlete. You do them, your routines, barefoot. But your mandatories and quarter turns, I'm so used to pressing through the floor with my heel off the ground. So, and you're right, heels just changes your center of gravity. It changes the shape of your leg, and it makes everything very different.
Yeah, with the OCB as well. They're a big one in America, aren't they? So I know they're trying to bring it over there.
They're massive, but not just in America. So I speak to athletes from other countries that I met at DFAC Worlds, and one of my friends in Italy actually contacted me saying, "Wow, you did OCB over here in Italy. The show was massive in Rome, and they're doing another one in Milan, and it's quite big. And I think there's one in Spain in 2 weeks. They were trying to encourage us to go to, saying you can enter half price, your polygraph is still valid." But you know, it's traveling to Spain when you've got children just about to start secondary school, not on the cards.
Didn't it? It was on the same day as was it UK DFBA as well?
It was on the same day as UK DFBA Northerns, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So that obviously probably didn't help like the split as well. But I mean, if it's seen progress from last year, then
it sounds like they've taken feedback from what happened last year. So if it was me in charge of that show, if you're going to have an interval, you'd flip that the other way around. You'd have the women's classes first, and then
you'd mix up the men's and women's like they do with PCA. Yeah. I mean, I think as well as I did know a few people that dropped out of OCB, even though they had paid in for the show to go do UK DFBA Northern, because they felt that actually for what they'd get from it, that was the better show to do.
Yeah.
And I don't think they were wrong in making that choice in this instance. I think OCB needs to do a lot more to promote themselves to grow, because at the moment it won't grow with people continuing to have experiences like that. If the experience isn't what you want to bring, then people won't sign up for it. And I think they need to really think about maybe location and that kind of thing as well.
Yeah. I mean, the more federations there is, you know, the better, because some of these shows, a lot of these shows are selling out now. Like the actual clients as well. I actually had a planned client on doing a show and he missed it. So oh, we can't do it. And that, you didn't even think that's a thing, but like that is a thing now. So,
Yeah.
you know, with all the federations are going to start filling up, I think, just because the participation is just getting so high, and naturally, you know, they're all going to have to compete with each other, right? So
Especially with some federations really opening up the bikini classes as well. I mean, I'm no bikini athlete whatsoever, but there's a lot more options for women to compete now, which I think is amazing.
yeah,
It's not just figure or bodybuilding. You have bikini, and in some federations that's split by height and by age. You have wellness, WNBF it's fit body as well. You've got figure is broken up in some federations to trained figure, toned and athletic, or toned, athletic, trained.
Have you seen the new
There's
female class WNBF's just announced as well? So that's what's it called? Is it Fit Model?
is it fit model or fit body? That
Fit
one.
Model. No, it's Fit Model, so it sits below bikini. So
Yeah,
it'll have even less muscle requirement than
yeah.
bikini. So it's following from
And
what
that's something that
BNBF's done.
yeah, and it's something
yeah.
that's come over from the States as well, with the whole angel classes and stuff like that, kind of a more kind of
Angel.
magazine aesthetic, I
Yeah.
think.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I think it's an introduction into bodybuilding, I suppose. Like
Exactly.
It's one of those things, if you can get people in, and what's the right way to put this? Like a less hardcore sort of thing. So basically, with that category, if you can diet down as just a normal person with a normal amount of muscle, you'll probably be able to compete in that category. And then if people get
I do.
for it, they would then possibly go on to the more muscular classes.
I do wonder where, like, and how that will go in natural bodybuilding, because naturally, where obviously, don't get me wrong, like a lot of these girls are very muscular, but you know, in the NPC, some of these bikini girls are very big, right? So there is warrant for less muscle, but in typically in natural federations, you know, that I wonder how much of a gap it's going to be in. I wonder whether they might start blurring, so that'd be interesting how it
But
will go.
also, you need to look at the classes that are undersubscribed. So, in natural
Yeah,
federations, you find that trained figure isn't very, um, not common, but there's not many of us. And when I actually questioned PCA about this, and feel free to leave this in or not, but they said the reason why many trained figure athletes aren't in the natural federations is because to get that lean, they're all on fat burners. So
yeah,
they're all in the untested ones, because
yeah,
people struggle to get that lean for trained figure.
absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I don't see why you'd take that out. That's just the black and white truth, you know. I think
But
obviously
then
as the
I'd say to some of those girls to go and watch the World Championships, the bodybuilding classes at the world's level. And obviously, those girls, they're not on fat burners. And the girl who won the pro show last year, I saw her getting tanned backstage. I have never seen a female that lean. Like, not an out, like, it'd be hard for a lot of men to get as lean as she was. Like, and she is next level. Um, but she's done it naturally. So,
Yeah.
I think it's just now natural bodybuilding is getting more popular. I think in time you'll see the division get there, but the what we now know that can be achieved naturally is almost being accepted, and obviously you girls with that amount of muscle, you know, isn't done overnight, so it's probably just going to take a little bit of time for
yeah.
that
I,
to
I
fill
have to
out a
agree,
bit.
but also I think age plays a part of it as well. My
Yeah,
teammate that won the Open at OCB, and also she won DFAC Worlds last year, not just her class, but the overall, Ali. Um, she's phenomenal, and she's in her 50s, and she her
Crazy.
lean muscle is just something. It's inspiring. It's
Yeah.
wonderful that we actually prepped together over the weekend and spending time with her. But she trains at a gym locally to me as well in Didcot, and it's just incredible to see her work ethic. And she always downplays herself. She's like, "Oh, but I've not got long left. I'm in my 50s. I struggle to build muscle." I was like, but look at your physique, look at what you've created. And she's a formidable athlete. She really is.
And what you're saying
I
there
think.
as well is it takes time. So, like you
Yeah.
said, it's only like I've worked in the fitness industry for over 10 years now, and I can remember when I first started as a PT, it was quite rare. Like the majority of my business as a PT was taking women out of the cardio area and getting them to go into the weights
Yeah.
area. Whereas you see a lot
Yeah.
more girls now, even teenagers, they're coming into the gym and they're going straight to the weights. Whereas that didn't used to happen before. So you've got that entire generation now that's coming through. Maybe they only have enough muscle to do bikini, but they enjoy the
Yeah.
lifestyle. They love being strong. Like what's the saying? Strong is the new skinny. But like you said, it
Yeah.
takes time to build that
And
amount
you hope and you'd hope they'd kind of grow up through the ranks into figure or athletic or even bodybuilding, because they enjoy the training and they enjoy the
Yeah.
process, and they can understand that actually no, they don't need to win everything in their first year. They can go away, have 1-2 years off, and come back bigger and better. And I
Yeah.
think there is a lot to be said for encouraging people not to go year after year, but to have those off years to build up, to be able to come back and be in a different category because they
Yeah.
have grown more muscle.
I do think it will go that way as well. Like,
I
I
hope
think
so.
I don't know about with you guys, but you start off thinking you just kind of want this or that, and then before you know it, it's just trying to get massive. You know, I think everyone goes on that. Everyone goes on that journey. Like, obviously, I
Yes,
joke, but
absolutely.
I don't joke, right? Like, you might say you only want to go to fit body, and then you go to bikini, and then you're like, you know what, I want to give figure a go, and now you're all in. Do you know what I mean? Now you're gonna step it up again, and you want to do bodybuilding.
all
So
on that
Yeah,
point,
I mean,
Chris.
my
Oh, sorry,
my
carry
coach and
on.
I joke that this is the most figure I've ever looked, after 5 years of being with him and kind of the leg tissue and back tissue. I always had
yeah.
the good back,
What I
but
want to
growing the
do is,
legs
sorry to
and
interrupt, I
getting
want to
them up
share my screen so people
has
can
been
actually
quite
see.
good.
Oh, here we go. So obviously this was you at the BNBF.
Yes.
Nice overall. That guy is an absolute freak as well. We were giving him a run for his money.
I was doing my best up there. I'm very proud of
Yeah,
that photo. I say it actually makes
so
me
you
look
should
like a
be.
proper bodybuilder.
Absolutely. Well, just a question that I have to ask that I always ask people because you're in a game of improvement. When you look at this, obviously this was the class win at PCA. What do
Ah,
you point as your strengths, and is there anything particular that you would like to work on, or you think like your strengths and weaknesses here?
so for me, I'm quite proud of the fact that I am a woman that has pecs and really good triceps. They are my strong point.
Absolutely.
I've got a reasonably good wide shaped back, but it's the legs for me are always a hard thing. You can see on the PCA ones, my condition changed massively between PCA and BNBF. I dropped a bit, a little bit of body fat, but also I was fuller coming into the show, and that's something as well with OCB that we really learned from BNBF is that I can take more food to fill me up pre-show.
Yeah,
So that was really quite something.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Obviously, a lot of instances, the more muscle you have, the more it takes to fill up.
Definitely.
So going back now, you
You said you had
talking
lots
about
of questions, so fire
yeah,
away.
I know. So I want to get onto the gym later, but going back, you were talking about you were doing IT. So take me on this journey from IT to building your gym and PTing, which I wanted to ask
Oh,
about.
so it's a long one. So I
Yeah, let's
left
do
the
it.
Air Force, moved to London, as you do, seek my fortune.
What age was this?
Um, It was in my mid-20s.
Okay.
So I moved to London, mid-20s, went into kind of business development and banking stroke IT support with a kind of an independent financial thing there. Actually, it was just before the crash in 2018.
Wow.
And then obviously last into that business, first out when the crash happened with redundancies. I found myself working for a charity, initially again doing business development work throughout the UK and globally. It was a Christian charity called Alpha. You may have heard of the Alpha course. I worked with them in their military, Alpha in a military context, because I had a military background, and that's what I did there. But the IT department stole me from doing that job because I was pretty good with working with CRM systems and databases, and so I kind of learned on the job from that. And then I started having children, so went on a good 6-7 year maternity leave, working from home, and then I worked for myself a bit as an IT consultant and was looking to get back into work full time. But that's when I also started my own personal journey of fitness and decided, well, I got myself fit. Maybe I can teach other people to do the same thing in a particular format. I was using something called PIO, which is kind of a Pilates yoga on ADHD kind of thing. It wasn't holding a move, it was constantly moving. So a lot of body weight moves. I don't know if any of you remember Beachbody on Demand. So Insanity, that kind of thing. It used that platform, and I became a teacher in a few formats, including Insanity and the Transform Step and PIO. But I realized in order to become a teacher, I needed to have certain qualifications. But I wasn't just going to be the person that stops at level 2. I went all the way and signed up for everything and did my level 2, my level 3, PT, sports massage therapy, pre-postnatal. I then did strength and conditioning level 4. I've done rehab. I've done older adult. I've done menopause training. So my CPD has continued, and a lot of what I have learned has often been reflected in what stage of life I'm at. So I did initially the pre-postnatal because a lot of people around me had babies. I had babies, they had babies, I could support them. I then got pretty sick in 2020 during COVID, but not with COVID, and I nearly lost my leg. And I had to rehab myself back from that. And in getting strong, I decided to learn about rehab. And that's become a real big bread and butter part of my business, and working with physios and doing rehab therapy physically.
Do you want to
I
dive
really
into
enjoy
that a
that.
little
I
bit?
find that
That's
quite
obviously such a
rewarding.
big thing.
It is a big thing. My most successful client actually is my dad. My dad had a massive ski accident in 2024, Christmas Eve. He got taken out on a French slope and damaged his fully ACL, MCL, LCL, and PCL on one leg,
Oh wow!
ACL,
Surprised his leg
MCL,
was still.
LCL, and meniscus on the other. So nine bits that were fully damaged. He was driven back from France because he couldn't fly by ambulance. He was in hospital. He was bedbound in his conservatory because he couldn't go up the stairs for so long, for 3 months, and working with a physio and working really hard because he's retired, he's 74, and he had the time to do the physio and all the icing. He followed the rules. We got him climbing Snowdon again without surgery. So
That sounds
pretty
unreal.
successful.
That's absolutely epic.
It is. I don't
Almost
think he'll ever
you
go
want to see
skiing again, but he's certainly
No,
back hiking, and he hikes a lot, and he lives a very active life. And
that's an amazing story.
he's now joined a gym. As of September last year, he goes to a 24-hour gym. And when he goes on cruise ships, he'll go check out the gym, sign himself in. He's got his program that he knows how to follow because he's realized he can't just do the rehab. He needs more in order to stay
Yeah,
moving and stay strong. And I'm so proud of him. It just took a long time. I don't think he's ever been in a gym before now.
yeah. Well, it's never too late to start.
That's what
Fair play.
Chris stole the words out of my mouth. It was like a perfect example of it's never too late to start.
Absolutely not.
So, what was if you're happy to get into it? What was the issue with your leg? You said quite a major thing.
What, in 2020?
Yes.
Of course, I don't mind sharing that. It's actually a big story, and I post and share about it quite a lot.
Okay.
In 2020, we were in COVID, we were in lockdown. So us ladies were not going to the salon to getting our legs waxed or any other areas waxed. So we shaved. And
Yeah.
shaving ultimately causes more ingrowing hairs. And I had an ingrowing hair that I thought I'd got out. But what had actually happened is it became cellulitis. And cellulitis happens at any point of the skin that is broken. So through scrapes, bites, stings, ingrowing hairs. And it started off as a little bump, and within a few hours it was a red welt. I drew round it because I'm me and I have that kind of medical background. By lunchtime I was shivering and had a heart rate of 120, which is not my normal resting heart rate. So I took myself off to A&E, and when I dropped my trousers to show them this sore on my leg, I actually collapsed and my heart stopped, and they had to resuscitate me because I had gone into septic shock. They managed to reverse the sepsis, but they hadn't managed to stop the infection. They couldn't find the right antibiotic combo, so they had to cut my leg open and cut out all the diseased necrotic tissue down to the muscle, and then they left it open for about 2 weeks before I could have surgery to close it. And that in part was because of COVID. They didn't have enough theatres running, and closing it wasn't a big urgent surgery that needed to happen. In fact, they even offered me to leave it open and let it grow over, but that would have taken 3 months. And I was a mum of 3 children that needed to work, and also going out of my mind being stuck on a bed. And so when they did close it, they also had to wait to make sure it was infection free. So they were swabbing it every day to make sure the infection had gone before they closed it up as well. So yes, I very nearly lost my leg because they weren't sure they'd be able to save it, as well as nearly losing my life to sepsis and cellulitis.
Oh wow.
Death by ingrowing hair, not the way you want to go.
Wild.
But like you said,
Yeah.
it's one of those things, the whole system was so overstressed. Like my father-in-law actually passed away during COVID, not directly from COVID, but they even said like if it wasn't COVID, he would have been able to get the care that he needed. But because it was like I think he died from sepsis in the end because he had an infection and it turned into sepsis, and then it was just like, well,
And once sepsis sets in, if you don't catch it. But every year I share about cellulitis, and it's quite interesting. I shared about it this year on my socials, and I know over the years since 2020, a few people have got in touch with me and said, Liv, what you shared has helped me because my mum had ocular cellulitis and you mentioned that, or I've had a sting, it's gone nasty, I've drawn around it, I've gone to the doctors and sorted it. I had a client come in to train and they said, I got stung in the garden, but it's really big and red. I feel a bit weird walking on it. Can you take a look? I said, I need to look at it before we train to see if you can actually train today. And she showed me it, and it was growing. And because it's on the leg, if anything's on the leg, the circulation, big veins, big arteries, things move quickly. I said, we're not training today. You need to call your GP and say, I've got cellulitis, I need antibiotics. And I drew round it there and then with a pen and sent her off. And she texted me the following day saying, I saw my GP, I have cellulitis, I've got antibiotics. It had already passed your line by 1.5 inches when I got to the GP. So this kind of thing does save lives.
I have actually never even heard of this. So would this be the medical definition of almost like a beginning of an infection kind of thing?
So cellulitis is a rapidly moving skin infection.
Right, makes sense. Okay.
And it's obviously, it's the body kind of overreacting to a bacteria or something that's gotten in through any form of broken skin.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
any form.
That is wild. That must have obviously you came back and competed 2 years after, you said. Do you think
Yes.
I bet that turned your world upside down and you look at everything completely differently since then?
It's quite interesting because actually when I was rehabbing myself, I was rehabbing myself more in a gym environment than I ever had been before. Before that, I'd been in my lounge with just some dumbbells. And then I moved into the
Yeah.
gym environment. I was still doing a lot more HIIT and hypertrophy at the time because that's what I knew. And a lot of people would say to me, Liv, you're quite lean, you got abs, do you compete, kind of thing? And I was like, no, but it's put that seed in my head that maybe I should. And
Yeah.
at the gym that I was training at, working at the time, was my now coach. And he PT'd there quite a lot, Darren Shepherd-Loxton. He is a brilliant man. And it took me a good few months to actually ask him, can we have a chat? And we had a
Yeah.
chat. And then a few months later, we had another chat. And I said, right, I'm ready. Because he has certain things that he likes you to have your ducks in a row in order to compete. And I said, I'm there.
I think
I've got
that's the
this.
coach, so caring.
He is. And he's now also Matt's coach. And we affectionately refer to him as the third wheel in our relationship because we both send our check-ins. We both hear each other's check-ins back. And he's always there, you know, when we're picking up our trophies at the end. And actually Matt and he stood on stage together last year at the British finals in the Grandmasters, which was a real, you know, pleasure to watch.
That's really cool. That's really cool. Wow. Pretty crazy. Donald, I know you've got a lot of questions, so just one last thing. So
Yep.
with obviously the gym is I listened to a little bit of your story earlier and I did have flip through your socials. So you obviously train in the gym, I believe, in the mornings most of the time. That's your time to yourself.
Yeah.
And then throughout the day you have clients. Is that like a mixture of clients? Is that anyone looking to make an improvement, or do you like have a specific person that you're aiming for? Where do you sit with that?
So we deal a lot with people because this is it. This room is it. This is our log cabin that we built earlier this year. I say we, the royal we. I kind of made the tea. Matt did the building. And then we chose what went into it together. I have a lot of people that I work with that don't want to be in a commercial gym. People that are scared to be seen. People that are not very confident in those kind of environments. And some of them, and my ultimate goal is to get them to fly the nest, so to speak. I want them to come in here, learn, and actually feel, right, I can do this on my own now. And maybe they'll come back every so often to check in. But there are other people, the other people I work with especially are those that have such not high functioning jobs, but high stress jobs that they don't have the executive function to know what to do in a gym. They just want to come here and have someone tell them what to do because actually they can't take on anymore. And working with them and actually just getting them to see de-stress and leave here feeling better and feeling like they've achieved something is really, really amazing. I've already touched on doing some rehab, which is some of my clients. We don't coach bodybuilders. I know how needy we are as a breed of people. I don't have time for that. We don't have any online clients. It's just purely the face-to-face people that come in and that we work with. And I really enjoy it.
Yeah, wicked. I'm sure there's going to be some questions about, you know, like bodybuilding and children. So Donald, I'll let you get stuck into them.
Okay, so is Always Forward like your sponsor? Because they've left about 12 questions. So
they're not a sponsor, no, not at all. Always Forward are a clothing brand with a message that support mental health. We don't get anything from them, but Matt and I have both had our own battles with mental health, and we appreciate the message that the brand have massively. And I think they thought they were being a little bit comedic.
some of these are satire.
I did actually say to the guy behind it, I say, if you have that many questions, you can just ask me anyway. But no, I have to say their hoodies are next level, because not only are they really properly weighted, in the pocket of the hoodie, there's a little mini pocket that either your phone or your earpods or something can fit in, and I rate that. Matt rates it because he never goes anywhere without his earpods, because that means he doesn't have to people. So
Makes sense. So yes, I did speak to Always Forward and basically said we've had a number of questions come through. I'm going to alternate, so I'll do one of them and then somebody else's, and I'll come back, or else some people are going to get annoyed. So from Always Forward brand, what legacy would you aspire to leave?
gosh, that's a big question.
That is big.
That you can achieve anything at any stage of life. I came to this in my very late 30s. I'm in my mid 40s now. Well, mid 40s. I'm 43, and I still reckon I got a good few years left in me. If I look at the women I stood on stage with at the DFAC World Finals, the two that came first and second were 50. I look at Ali, who won last year. She's in her 50s. Age is just a number. If you've got the determination to keep going, I would want to encourage everyone to just get started and get moving. If I can show them that, as I was a single mum when I started doing all this, and I'm now a very supported unsingle mum, but if as a mum I can do this, then so can you. If as someone that has very nearly lost their life and their leg rehabbed it back, do something after any injury, so can you. And if you lose people, you go through grief, then you can come back from that. And actually training and moving your body is probably the best medicine ever. So if I can share that with anyone, that would be my legacy.
That's amazing. So I think I was listening to a podcast the other day about natural bodybuilding, obviously. And if you think about it, natural bodybuilding is one of the few sports where age is actually a benefit. So you
Yeah.
look at professional football, rugby, the majority of athletes are actually retiring at 35, whereas in natural bodybuilding, you seem to hit your peak in your mid to late 30s, even into your 40s, because of what I said earlier. It's that time element. Like, building muscle takes time, and it takes a lot more time than people realize. So I think that's an amazing legacy, Liv. So thank you for that. Right, Dave holds on. Are stripy or spotty pajamas more anabolic?
Stripey always. I can't stand spots. And that comes from OCB. So at the weekend, obviously you tan up the night before, you wait for your next layer the following day. As a woman, there is only a certain amount of clothes that you can wear that are accessible to be able to then put on a bikini without ruining your tan. I found myself some nice stripy pajamas. I took myself for a walk around the streets of London in search of coffee. Happened to bump into Dave in said stripy pajamas at about 7 a.m. on Saturday morning. So yes, stripy pajamas always.
I think we've all been there with the oversized everything trackies, t-shirts that are like triple XL when you're half your normal body weight and nothing fits anyway.
Everything you wear makes you look like a toddler wearing their parents' clothes.
Yeah.
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 Bright orange. People are thinking, what the hell is up with that person?
Yeah. Why do they look like a corpse, but a very tanned corpse? Like.
Yeah.
Okay, so back to Always Forward. If you could only do, that's going to be a long question. I'm going to go to this one. Who's more likely to survive on a desert island between you and Matt? So Matt's your husband, isn't it?
One day husband, yes, not yet, but one day.
So,
no, it's fine. He'll have to listen to this.
That's a
yeah, we've given him a little nudge there. Yeah.
I have been told one day,
joking.
but just which day, I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Matt would absolutely own that one. ex-military, ex-fire service, the most practical man I
Wow.
know. Yeah, it
Well,
would
he
be him.
built that log cabin, so
He did. I think he
Yeah.
may have wanted to burn it down once or twice during the process, but yeah.
Yeah. Fair play.
okay. So Dan Keon, as a female who does 40 kg dumbbell chest press without a spot, I'm calling fake Natty. It's not really a question. But and there's an actual question after this. But I'm guessing you've urine tested, polygraphed and stuff with all those. So for those that are just
Absolutely.
a compliment, like at the end of the day, if you know through and through you're
Yeah.
natural, the
So
fake
that
life
was
just comes as a compliment.
yeah, no, I think that also comes from the fact that not many people are used to seeing, it wasn't 40s, it was 30s. Even in prep, I'm pressing 30s. In my off season, it is more and it is for reps. And it's why I have pecs. It's something I'm insanely proud of, that as a woman, actually as an athlete, because some men can't do that, I'm quite proud of what I can press.
Yeah, there's a
Yeah.
lot of men that wouldn't be
Yeah.
pressing
Right.
30 kilo dumbbells. Okay, so
Absolutely wicked.
from Dan Keon again, how did it feel having your children and Matt at your last show and winning it?
Unbelievable. It very nearly didn't happen because I think their behaviour earlier in the day had not warranted their presence in the theatre. But that's because they are 11, 13 and 15 and one is autistic ADHD. So managing that in and of itself can be stressful. And Matt was doing it mostly on his own because I was backstage. I was there kind of doing all the pre-stage work on myself and I wasn't there to support the children. But it was the first time they'd ever seen me compete in 3 years and it was super special. They went mad. To have them on stage with me at the end was absolutely incredible. And I know Matt shouted himself hoarse, but it really, after all these years, for them to see what I've achieved and what mummy's early mornings mean and what they can create and what they can make, and that, it's no longer the participation medal. I've actually won it and I can bring home the big trophies and they are so incredibly proud.
That's amazing.
Yeah. Set example.
100% can empathise with that. So when I went to LA, the live stream for that was the first time my daughters watched me compete. So like I completely understand it. And then like you said, going from those participation trophies with just to having a big gold medal or a big trophy that's like Daddy won, and
Absolutely.
there's no better feeling. So Emily McGrory, how do you manage any body image issues / insecurities, and do you have bad days?
Absolutely, I have bad days. I tend to refer to it as my dickhead brain. It creeps in, self-doubt, imposter syndrome. Especially this year, it has been more around why does the scale saying more? So the scale this year is higher than it was in 2024. That I am a data-driven person. I love computers, systems. That's how my brain works. So my brain is going, you're not lean enough, but the visuals are saying you're bigger. So correlating those two things, I have to really trust in my coach to just get me where I need to be, but understanding what the visuals are saying doesn't need to match what's on the scales. And for me, those have been the hard things, and letting go of that. It's not been easy, but it is something that I'm learning to do. And also with the needing to not refeed, but carb up more, learning the difference between feeling full because there's actually food in my stomach and feeling bloated, which is something that as a woman you experience monthly anyway. Is kind of learning to separate those two and actually understanding what is what. But
Yeah.
yes,
And I think also like when you do prep, realistically to get very lean, you do most people have to eat not a lot, and you do your stomach, you does shrink, and you aren't used to having, you know, a stomach full. So
when you
it
carb
can
up
throw you
and
off a little bit.
your stomach is full and you're laying there in bed thinking, I've lost my gains.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no,
And you wake
we've
up
all
and you
been
have to
there.
ab check and they're still there. You know.
Yeah, the whole prep is all about like half the time eating less, moving more, not always, but for some people, and then, you know, at the end have the opposite. Like sometimes see the scale weight climb a little bit to know, you know, you've actually replenished glycogen, and, you know, to feel full, it can feel very foreign for sure.
I find the science behind bodybuilding absolutely fascinating, and I
Yeah,
love
I absolutely love
the
it.
detail of the nutrition and everything. It's what really kind of gets my brain going. But yeah, body image issues in so much with that this prep has probably been the biggest. I think previously it would have been, I've never been this lean before in my life. Wow. And
Yeah.
then I think the other thing is not actually do the actual hard things in prep has got nothing to do with body image for me actually.
Okay, so Yorkshire pudding 82. As Liv is dairy free, what are top tips for being a dairy free bodybuilder?
Wow, that's an interesting one. Yes, I am dairy free. It does mean that I don't suffer with pizza cravings, or all those big cookies after shows because they're all chock full of butter and things that I can't have anyway. I think also it helps being dairy free because dairy free chocolate is fairly revolting for the most part. I found a few dark chocolate things that I like to have with my recovery pre-bed kind of supplement. That works. But it's finding, I think the top tip would be eating as much protein naturally as you can from non-dairy sources. So meats, fish for me, actually breads, and then getting yourself a good plant-based protein. I've been on the one that I'm using now for 5 years. I did try something else for a while and it wrecked my guts because it was soy-based. I'm on a pea and rice-based protein and it works an absolute treat. But I don't actually have that much of it each day.
I think it's interesting what you say there because I've had a few clients that have tried vegan protein powders and they've often had to go through 3 or 4 different brands to find one that one tastes nice and two digests well because those two things
Yeah.
often don't go together.
So
I'm someone who's,
without plugging it
sorry,
too
go
much,
ahead.
I take Awesome, and Awesome it comes in a few flavors. I always treat myself to the chocolate orange flavor in December. It's quite nice, but as a family, we use the vanilla one mostly because you can add to it your own flavors or extras as you need. Cinnamon being my most favorite thing to put in my morning oats with my protein, and it's a smooth one. It shakes up well, mixes well, and like I said, we've been using it a few years, and I'll put it in the kids' pancakes as well. I think it's really important that our children learn about their nutrition and they're quite au fait with why we eat certain foods and what they do for our bodies.
I have one story of trying vegan protein, which is funny. I I'm pretty lucky that I've got a pretty like iron stomach. Like I can tolerate most things. Like I can tolerate pretty much everything. I've never had an issue, never had any allergies, anything like that. But I was at a friend's house and he's vegan, and he gave me this vegan protein that I was trying to put on my oats, and it was the most gritty thing I've tried in my life, and genuinely like that's the closest I come to vomiting after eating ever.
Oh
And I
dear.
couldn't get it out my, like, you know, the taste. I just couldn't get rid of it. And ever since then, I can't even look at the packaging. Like, actually, just like I just genuinely have to look away.
I think
So
the other thing,
yeah,
going back to Yorkshire pudding thing, egg whites. Oh my goodness, egg whites in a carton. They're never out of stock in our pantry. Egg whites are absolutely brilliant for being able to add volume and protein to either ordinary eggs or your oats, anything
yeah,
like that. It's brilliant.
yeah. I think everyone's prep's had egg whites in it at some point.
Yeah. Okay, so it's probably be the last question. Oh no, There's two more. What would you say to? I think he's made a spelling. So it says, "What would you say to something struggling with their mental health now?" I'm guessing that's someone.
Yeah.
So yeah, from always forward again. So what would you say to someone who's struggling with their mental health right now?
Reach out to someone, talk to someone, find someone to speak to. It doesn't have to be a medical professional. Just start a conversation, because conversations create connection. And as we connect more with people, you get community. And as you have community, you become more supported. And I think bodybuilding is where I've really found my community. The people I've met in the green rooms, backstage, the people I've met through posing clubs, the people I've met on show days that have been there supporting other people, but then we've got chatting over, getting some water or whatever, or they've come and said, well done. The people in the bodybuilding community are like no other. They are so supportive. They know exactly what it takes to get to where you are. There's no judgment. And I think I have made some truly lifelong friends because of bodybuilding. But coming back to the mental health question, just get talking. I think that's the biggest one. Don't feel like you have to sit there with those thoughts in your head alone. Most people can relate to having those kind of negative thoughts or having tough times, whether it be through illness or grief or relationship issues or work struggles. It's just about getting those words out, because often enough, once you've got those words out, it's like my coach says, he always wants to know how I'm feeling. It's not just the data, because he says, I bet you feel better for having told me that now, Liv. Stay in your lane, do the do. But now you've told me whatever's going on in your brain today that has far too many tabs open, you can carry on.
Almost like you've been off.
Within bodybuilding, the body follows where the mind is. You see it time and time and time again. So
absolutely.
And finally, from Leela Shares, how do you stay motivated?
You've got to have your eyes on that goal, don't you? On that next step. This season is not about doing as many shows as possible. It's about, I have a goal and something that I wanted to achieve. Motivation does come and go. Do I have those mornings where everyone think, oh my goodness, I've still got to get 1,500 steps in today at least. I know I can go and walk the dog and do that. Is it getting dark? Do I really want to do it now? Not particularly, but it still needs to get done because I've got a goal. And I am very focused on that and very driven by that. But part of, it's actually on the back of my t-shirt, discipline wins the war within. For me, I always say discipline is my superpower. If you tell me I've got to do it in order to achieve that goal, I'm going to do it. Maybe it's the military background in me. Maybe it's just me being a little bit stubborn. But for me, I've got to keep going if I want to get to where my goal. It's no point me getting to that stage and not placing where I want to place because I've half-assed it, because that comes back on me. There's no point in standing there knowing you didn't do everything that you needed to do. I always find it quite bizarre when people go to competitions and said, well, I thought I tried. Well, you either did or you didn't. And you've got to bring your best.
I think a lot of people forget that motivation's emotionally driven. So if you're waiting to be motivated all the time, it's like you driving from your home to London, but you want to wait until every single green light along that route is green before you set off. Like that's never going to happen. Like there's going to be days where you don't want to do it. Like even as high level bodybuilders, there are days where I don't want to go to the gym. There are days where I don't want to do my cardio, where I don't want to do my steps. But like you said, that goal, that longer term goal, is more important to you than that short term gratification. And I think that's a skill a lot of people need to learn, is delaying that gratification, picking a goal that is bigger and more appealing to you, and learning to accept some short-term discomfort in order to be able to achieve it.
You said that exact word. It's learning to get comfortable with feeling uncomfortable. When you're dieting, you're going to feel hungry. When you're training, you're going to get sore. When you're doing prep, you're going to feel fatigued and it's going to be uncomfortable. There are going to be days when you've got mind fog. It's there, it happens. It's like pregnancy brain. It really is. And I think it's just really much a case of accepting that those tough times are going to be there, but you do it anyway. But not everyone has the fortitude to get past that, or the resilience to get past that. And that's why I say bodybuilding isn't for everyone at all. And, you know, I get met a lot with that. I could never do what you do. No, you're right. You probably can't, but you probably could do something. You might not be stepping on stage, but you probably could do something more for your health, something more for your long-term independence, your longevity, and your autonomy. You don't have to be a bodybuilder to do that. You can just do a little bit.
I also think something that's important is I actually think motivation most of the time comes after like movement already. Like, I don't know about you, but with most clients, once they start seeing some results, once they start getting consistent, once they start, you know, doing this and that, that's when they actually get motivated. Like initially they're not that motivated, but like motivation actually comes later a lot of the time. Like you have to pretend to be motivated to get motivated. Like, do you know, it's almost like the fake it till you make it with things in life. Like it is actually a thing. Like you have to pretend you are a natural bodybuilding champion. You have to be the natural bodybuilding champion before you're the natural bodybuilding. You don't just become it, you act like it, and that's what causes you to get it, right?
Yeah.
Trying every day.
I think that's the perfect way to end it.
Amazing.
Absolutely.
Liv, thank you so much for coming on.
No, thank you very much for having me and for all the questions.
Absolutely. Very inspirational story.
Thank
Hopefully
you.
anyone listening can take, you know, some positive stuff about it. I think we're all looking forward to seeing you do your thing in the next few shows.
Yeah,
Obviously,
me too.
we've shown your Instagram. Is there anywhere else you'd like to send people if they want to follow along for the rest of the season?
They can follow along at Ms. Live Fit. That's my main kind of platform. Obviously, the studio has a platform, but that's mostly for, you know, our coaching stuff. I don't put too much about my kind of personal bodybuilding journey on there. Occasionally, I'll crop up because I'm training in the studio and we want to show the clients, you know, exactly what is achievable with this space. But yeah, my Instagram is where you can find me and where you'll see everything from the mundane to the insane of being a parent and a bodybuilder and a PT.
Yeah, and anyone who's thinking about that, definitely go and give her a follow. I know you like talk to your story quite often, and I think you're very transparent and just showing the reality, and I think people like relatability. You know, it's very refreshing. So
I think it's important to be
so much.
authentic. I really do.
Absolutely.
Bodybuilding isn't all glitz and glam. It is hard work. It is boring. Your meals are the same. The training is the same. And I've done something recently about the fact that my training hasn't changed in 18 months. But then again, it doesn't need to because it's working.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yeah, you got to be, if you want to be a good bodybuilder, be very okay with the monotony. Is that a word? Or being monotonous?
Monotony.
Whatever you, that is a thing, right?
Yeah.
That is the word. Okay, cool. Perfect. Right, Liv, thank you so much.
Thank
Guys,
you very much,
thank you again.
Good to speak to you both.
See you in the next one.
Thanks, guys.
Bye.